Today's number is 6,000. That's roughly the percent of ROI on the first 4 orders from the playables I listed on TCGplayer. I'm gonna let that sit there for a second, but today I'm here actually to talk about velocity adjusted pricing. What it is, why I use it, and how managing forward expectations from the beginning is one of the most important things you can do when building a real business. Before I get to that, my name is Ryan, and I started a TCG business with over $1 million in debt. I'm here to turn cardboard into cash and move from dire straits into distro. Every day I go over the challenges and successes of growing a TCG business and what I accomplished from the previous day. If watching someone grow their business in this space sounds interesting to you, hit the subscribe button and tell the algorithm that you approve this message. Managing forward expectations is one of the most underrated skills in business. Now, I work in my normal day job, and that's part of just the job. It would be an undeniable part of what I do. In fact, it's one of the things I enjoy to do. And actually, it was when I worked at my very first job in the career that I have, I met somebody, I'll leave their name out. They ran a program, and they were one of the business development leads, and the CEO was just writing him about getting this report, and he gave me this story, and the story was basically, if you take a woman out, I'm a man, so he was just assuming, if you take a woman out and on Friday, and you bring her flowers on the first date, and then the next date you bring her flowers again. Every Friday you pick her up and you bring her flowers, and then just the fifth Friday it happens that you didn't have time to pick up flowers. In doing so, you've set this expectation that Friday you pick her up, you take her to dinner or whatever else, and you bring her flowers. The first time, through no fault of your own, and seriously no fault of her own, you didn't bring her flowers, but that expectation was set, and as a byproduct, when there's no flowers, there's now a problem. Okay, there wasn't going to be a problem before. She didn't have that expectation because you didn't set it. It stuck with me, and that little parable has always stuck with me because it's true of every kind of relationship that you have in life. And one of the things that I find interesting about that is it actually helped me a little bit from a dating perspective for a while to be like, oh yeah, like if I tell them that I want to do this or I like to do this, or if you say to somebody at the beginning of a relationship that you're all about, I don't know, hiking, then you better go hiking with this person because that's one of the things that they in theory wanted to do with you potentially, right? It's a little bit like that Pina Colada song where they find out at the end that like, oh, they've liked all of these things, but they've never really spoken about it. If you've talked about somebody or talked to somebody about something that you like, they've set an expectation within their mind that you must really like Pokemon or you must really like hiking or whatever it may be. I will tell you, as it relates to the TCG business, though, most people react. They price for today, they buy for today, they plan for today, and then tomorrow shows up, and with a different cost profile, either up or down, and with different conditions, they're just scrambling. The way I've tried to avoid that is velocity adjusted pricing, and here's what that actually means. Velocity adjusted pricing is how I build the sustainable business. Most of the time, I'm at market. Now, when I look at something and I know that this set is going to go through the roof, whether that's before or I'm seeing it live in action on any of the people who are the PokeTubers that show you all the charts, and maybe we'll do that one time, maybe one day. I hope to get a little bit involved in that, as most of this started out as a investment side of the when I was building the portfolio, if you will, behind me. I don't know if you can see. Woo, there we go. It was with the idea of, oh, I'll just be a long term investor. And while that's a good idea, I certainly would say if you're not somebody who's willing to put in the effort of business, just put it in acrylic, put it on the wall, enjoy the art of the sealed investment, and see it in 5 to 10 years. Now, most people do not wait the 5 to 10 years. They just simply don't. I'm not, but I'm doing what I'm doing here, which is turning all that back there into all this right here. Okay, I literally traded things that were back on this wall and around the room for more of this. This is bulk. This is just bulk. This is about 2/3 of the bulk that we picked up at the show yesterday. That's not even all of it. This is the stuff I've already gone through. I have not sifted it, and that's going to be part of the process. We'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. But that's been paid for. Everything else I need to go through and pay on. And again, talking about what we said yesterday, it's a trust factor. They dropped it off with me because they know I'm going to get them an appropriate report and pay them out. Now, when I talk about replacement costs and pricing slightly ahead of margin, sometimes that's not about pricing it in a way that's public. Sometimes that's just not listing it. Okay, it's a hold strategy that says I'm not going to move this into a place where anybody can buy it off me until it hits a dollar threshold that makes sense for me. You can hold strategically that way, where you think that the demand is going, kind of lead the shot, and that's sometimes just the best strategy in general. Sometimes that's a default position of either laziness or a factor of I forgot to get to it. Some of these things have risen in price so much that it's just because I didn't move them. I didn't think to move them. So while there can be gains in that way in what is a very hot market, and that's not surprising, you also got to plan for what is a down market. Now, the velocity adjusted pricing works both ways, but when it starts to move down, you need to be able to pivot. That's just true of all businesses. But as it goes up and it continues to go up, and in this case, I really just don't see where in the buying cycle in the next 2 years it's going to really go down. So I know there's a guy on my server. We had a really nice conversation about, and he was instinctively kind of doing the same thing. It's like, well, I think all of these Ascended Heroes ETBs are going to go to 200 and pretty soon, and they very well may. That was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. They're basically stagnated over the last 2 or 3 weeks. They're basically at the same price point that they've been. And I sort of, said at the time to him, or you could take the 80% cash, which is almost a triple for you right now from where you were, and go into the next position and buy 3 times as much because he's putting in the work to go find things at MSRP. So in fairness, right now, his velocity should be in that direction, right? Not on the pricing strategy, but actually putting the cash and funds into just velocity of cash, right? Moving, I tripled up. I have 3 times the amount of money. Now it's time to go and get some more. That is one way. That is something you should try and do, especially as a business. Now, he doesn't see himself as a business. That's perfectly fine. I still would recommend it in his position. He did not want to do that at this time. I offered him a few different options, and not even just with me, just here's ways to think about the product that you're holding. But it's also the difference, all of this, between becoming, avoiding becoming a garage sale instead of a business. And I'm trying to grow a business. So down the line, if I get distribution, I would be thrilled to sell things at MSRP and pass that value forward. And for my bulk traders, I already layer in discounts to reward people who have built the bulk industry with me, which is what I'm trying to. I'm trying to be the person in my area, which is again a very large area, that people go, oh, I bring my bulk to AVA TCG. That's who I bring my bulk to because they know how to. They treat me right. They know how to move it. I don't have any questions. I know what they're doing with it. And at the end of the day, I'm satisfied with the relationship that I have with them, and I'm satisfied with the value that they give to me in return. But velocity adjusted pricing makes all of this possible. It is what will lead me to build a team and share this space with people who make a living, will be making a living at that time, doing what they love, hopefully. It's about, again, setting that forward expectations, not just for tomorrow, for a version of AVA that exists years from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years. I don't want the time limit to be, oh, this bubble. I want it to be 3, 4, 5 bubbles. I want something that if my son or daughter decided they wanted to participate in, they could take it over at one point. I'm an older father. I started a little later in life. I couldn't be prouder of my children, and I'm happy about when I started that journey in my life, thankfully. I'm happy to talk about that. I will tell you, one of the things I've often said to my wife, sometimes that could get me hit potentially, but I have no regrets. Up until when I met my wife. And if you hear that from one angle, glass half empty, you think, wait, you have regrets since meeting your wife? No. What I'm saying to you is, every decision that led to meeting my wife and having my family and the life that I lead today, I have no regrets. It sucked some days. It was not good. It leads me to why I'm $1 million in debt in a lot of ways, but I have no regrets. Now, I've made mistakes since, and I have regrets for those things. Hurt people or done things that I didn't mean to do, or on accident said something, or maybe on purpose said something in a moment of anger, the way we all live our lives. But I don't want to live with regret, and I want to build something that I know will outlast not just this cycle, but the next 3, 4, 5 cycles. And we're going to get there. Anyway, hopefully this video will stand the test of time and hold me accountable to that. But every pricing decision I make is a brick in that foundation. So we've got to set that expectation now. Now, Cardinal Gaming, Mason from Cardinal Gaming, he was on with Bronze God recently, and he talked about the $7 hot dog. And when he was talking about that, it was, if you buy a hot dog for $1, you can cook a hot dog at home with all the fixings and everything you need and make it for $1. But when you go to the baseball game or the football game, that hot dog's $7. And while you may not love paying for it, you make a different decision because of the venue or the time and the place that you're in. That's the same thing. He made a beautiful argument with the $7 hot dog. It's a really nice analogy as to say, like, why does this cost more? Because it's on the secondary market. Or why does this cost more in this time frame? It's just the reality of the market space. Now, to tell people what you're building, tell them why you're pricing the way that you price it, be honest with them, be forward with them, treat them with respect and honesty. people invest in transparency, and the ones who get it, those are your people, the people who understand the value that you bring. You don't want just somebody who makes it so that, oh, I'm only buying because you're the lowest. I'm not the lowest price on TCG Player right now for anything I'm listing. Probably I'm a percentage over market for the super playables, and I'm at 40 cents floor for my playables, which is matches TCG Direct. I listened to RNG Games. I agree with what he had to say. If this is the price for TCG Direct, it should not be the price for anybody else. Now, people who just want to move for, again, for different kinds of sales velocity, and that's perfectly fine. They can undercut each other, and 40 cents here it goes to 22 cents or 28 cents. It's fine. That is the market doing what it's supposed to do. But if you want to buy from me, and people are buying in volume now, 44 cards went to one buyer just today. In fact, I'm holding what is tantamount to just the 4 orders. But in those 4 orders, I made more than I would have had I priced all these things down to their floor. Right? That's a 6,000% gain. It does not recoup my time. If you did this on a time investment, it wouldn't even be close right now. But we're building towards when that time will make more sense. Now, all right, let's talk about some of the things that we did yesterday in the business. I tackled the show inventory. We got everything that you see behind me, plus everything that I have to go through. That volume is real. We've already talked to some bulk buyers. I have made no no qualms about this. I sift through the value. I find the things that I think are playable. I put those things in TCG Player. Everything else that is hollow or better, I end up making an eBay store, because what you want, again, is volume. This is a volume-based business. If you want to take 50 cards and sell them, that's probably not bad. You can probably do that as a side gig. You want to take 1,000? A little bit more manageable, one little box, and you can send out with a stamp every once in a while, handwrite their address. Not a bad thing. Your pricing strategy may be good. You may make a little money. You might make break even from what a sellout would have been, but ultimately, if that's what's fine for you, that's fine. But when you get to the 10,000 range, now you're competing with people who have real inventory management. I've invested $5,000 worth of inventory management and systems and tools, and that number is probably going to double here in the next, I don't know, 3 to 6 months, just in where do I put things and how do I go through it. That alone is a cost. Now, you could do it by hand, and I would absolutely recommend anybody who is looking to launch their TCG business, start by hand. Work through the TCG Player methodology. Don't go right to eBay, because while eBay might have a premium, TCG Player will teach you, is this something that you really want to do? And that is something that you cannot just know. You have to go through the painstaking process of pulling every card, listing every card, getting it through the envelope, and that may sound like small things, but they all add up. It all adds a time variable. And I promise you, you will not recoup that time if you do not build this thing the right way. But volume is the game. I met with a bunch of members yesterday who dropped off their bulk, and they were asking me the right questions. Why do you do this? How do you do this? What's the purpose of this? What do you do with the end result, right? And I'm telling you all what I'm telling you now. The answer is the same. I sift through the value. I keep the things that I want to keep. Everything else, I move to a bulk buyer. What they do with it, I have no idea, and it's not really my business. I've sold them a product for a percent price. They're happy with it. I'm happy with the deal. It gives me cost capital back to then push back into the product that people then want to use for trade, so that I can repeat the process. And that's how the business is supposed to run, okay? If you want to know more, we'll go more over this in future videos, but that's really how it does work. Second, today I launched my first ventures program. We're highlighting one of the local creators and entrepreneurs on our platform, on the server, in the TCG space. She owns a business of her own where she draws, or in this case, paints onto people's binders. Specifically, she really likes working with the Vault X binders, and you can get a unique custom art on your binder for whatever it is that you would want. I'm very excited for her. I think we launched it at around, I don't know, 10 or 11, maybe it was noon, and last I saw, she already had 4 or 5 orders for purchase. That's wonderful. That is us being able to help somebody, a creator in our space, use our platform to reach with some more success. Now, I will tell you, as a part of the Ventures program, there's a payment program, right? So for every dollar she makes, I make a little, not a lot, but a little. It adds to the pile, and that is part of just doing business. Again, supporting other people's businesses, giving them a platform, and seeing what they can do with it. But the fact that she had 0 yesterday and probably 5 orders today, and will hopefully grow from that with positive reviews, that's great, and that's what we would want for them. It's genuinely something I'm excited about. I'm looking forward to finding other venture programs that want to work with us on our platform. We can give them the space in the creation world to reach out to our specific users. And then finally, partnerships. I continue to build partnerships in the space. I talked a little bit about this yesterday. Some of those partners may want to remain anonymous, and that's perfectly fine. Now, I can probably talk about the nature of those conversations and the work that I'll be doing with them. But I'll leave that until I've sort of inked the deals. But we've had some very positive conversations in the last 24 hours, even since I launched a very late night video yesterday, and I'm excited to handle that. Finally, I met up today with a community member. We had a deal. It had to be undone. There was a seal break on the inventory. That sucks. I felt really bad for them. They drove a long way. We both drove a long way, in fairness. But and they weren't happy with it, and I understand that too. But they walked away with a smile. We made a small deal. It was very lovely meeting them. They were nice people. I hope to do some deals with them in the future. I gave them what I thought was some options for their outs, given the seal tears and some of the tears in some of their seals, I should say. But it was an honest and interaction, which I love. That connection matters, and I like meeting people face to face. Where I'm headed. One goal over the next 48 hours as it relates to the business is to just get through every card that I haven't gotten through for the card show. I want to get everything through, sift through it, get it all organized by the card type, and then pay people out or give them their reports that I build, and I'll showcase one of those reports in the future. And then they can choose what sealed or singles that they're looking for. And I want to take care of that in the next 48 because I'm going to have another pop-up. I have a weekly pop-up, and that's where more bulk comes my way. I already have somebody who's holding back bulk, actually two people that I know are holding back bulk because they know how much I just consumed, and they're giving me the grace to say, like, I'll give you a few days before I come, and we'll work it out. I'm very grateful to them. They're consistently bringing me bulk, so they kind of understand the time commitment in that. But I need to clear the runway before any of that happens. Tomorrow, I'll walk you through more of my full process. I will work through one of the piles. I'll show you what I do, and that's more after the fact, right? Just again going through the sifting and everything else. I may even do this live in the next few days, so you can kind of watch in real time if that would be of interest. The partnerships, like I said, continue to develop. The venture program is live. The website is getting closer. The build is happening. If any of this sounds interesting to you, if you'd like to support this channel, if you'd like to support me, follow the link in the Discord. Let me know what successes or challenges you've had today in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Same bad time, same bad channel.